folks, welcome to this exciting video where you once again join us in the magical wild lands of Scotland. And today for this episode we're joined by the channel DJ here for this expedition. And shout out to an old friend that we just saw sitting at this side of the loch. Shout out Michael. That's somebody that we've kent for many years, and we were just literally walking up here and all I hear is Butch getting shouted. Because that's obviously BKR, that's what it stands for, folks. Butch K. Rule. Butch used to be my nickname from the neighbourhood we lived in, and K. Rule was the nickname of the place we were from, and that's what the BKR stands for here. But it was so cool just to see somebody that we've not seen for years away up in this wild lands. But basically, we've come up here today, we're in Glen Clova once again, and we were thinking we had seen most of Clover and what it had to offer. But we've just noticed there's a little bridge takes us to the other side of the river. A little bridge that we had never seen before. And basically that means that we can actually go to lands which we had never explored before. So there's a whole new opportunity here for abandoned history or incredible landscapes. And that's what we're all about on the channel. So let's get into this adventure, folks. We've been blessed with this sunshine, perfect weather conditions. And there's just nothing better than exploring a landscape like this on a summer's day. Here we go, folks. We've come to this corner here where this little white picket fence is, and the whole scene around here is just glorious. And we've noticed that the other side of this field here is where the little bridge is, which we're going to cross. Oh hey, look at that, little orange poppies and stuff. The old bridge. Most likely upgraded and stuff as the years pass by, because I can see a lot of cement on it. Yeah, I love adventures like this, folks, when we're heading into territories that we've never been in before and seeing things that we've never seen. And this field's got loads of wee lambs in it, which is super cool. Obviously we come with the greatest respect to like the landowners and the shepherds. We'll always navigate our way around these lands, just avoiding all the livestock and stuff. It's literally just a paradise spot around here. The massive mountains are starting to become more green as the weeks pass. Check this out, folks. There's this electrical fence here we need to step over. But this bridge is incredible. I've never ever seen this, even though we've been driving up this glen for years and stuff. We just happened to look over at this section today. Ken, what's interesting, the amount of big stones that's been piled up here. I'm guessing they must have been cleared from the land at one time. But each side of the river, we've got these massive big piles of stones. And look at this, there's a wee bench here. Places like this are just an idyllic little spot on a day like today when the sun's shining. It's so special that we can come here and explore places like this. And I'm always just blown away by the landscapes. Check that out, folks. That tree's got a hole right up the middle of it.
Any geocaches in it?
Nah, it's maybe the home to a snake nowadays. Wow, check this out, folks. We're going over the old bridge.
Some fire, eh?
Yeah, those stones are just curious why they're there, like. Not unless there was an old bridge or something and the stones used to be the foundation of it. Aye, like there's a hole under it. It's weird how those stones are piled up like that, because they're massive. They must have been moved there with machinery. Yeah. See these ones as well, they're almost built like in a wall shape, but like a giant wall. Wow. This is incredible, folks. We're now crossing the river. Oh, that will be an old bridge, eh? So that shows maybe these piles of stones were moved after the bridge or something was changed or developed. The water's just crystal clear, and it's often so peaceful just hearing the water flowing. Wow. This is a tubular metal construction here, this bridge, with the wood over the top of it. And that's a cool little chill out spot there with the bench. See, there's a sign there which must be like a path sign. Yeah. So we've just explored briefly this side of the river here, folks, and there's literally no abandoned history, but when we went over the top of that hill, it's literally the road at the other side of the glen. So we've decided to come back across here, and we're going to head up to a secondary location somewhere. So yeah, the adventure's not over yet for the viewers, but we are still just navigating through this wilderness, looking for some interesting artefacts.
There's a bit of that metal.
Oh aye, that's maybe a bit of an old bridge, eh? Check this out folks, there's a piece of big chunk of metal sticking out the ground here. Look at that, maybe part of an old bridge which once spanned this river. And you can just see these big piles of stones that we spoke about on the way across. Maybe at a certain time when they built the bridge, they maybe got rid of a lot of the big stones that was sitting around. It's mad to see the old bridge at that side, how it's been wiped out. We must have been high waters. Oh wait, look, there's an egg. Oh, there's been something here eating the bird's eggs out of the nest, look. I think the nest's been there. Ground nest and birds. And like weasels and stuff come along and eat that sort of thing. Wow, this wildlife and nature around here is just mind-blowing to see. This bridge doesn't actually look too old compared to some of the ones that we see on our adventures. It looks like there's an incredible level pool down there folks in the river. We were just saying this looks like an idyllic spot to like go in the river and swim about. It's maybe not the deepest here, but down there it looks just incredible. It's a postcard seeing it here. But we just saw a fish jumping down there, which shows there'll be trout or whatever running about in this river.
See, it looks like there's stones that go right across the river there, eh?
Oh aye. It's like a land bridge,
Yeah.
eh, almost. So at this time of year in Scotland, as the weather starts to heat up, this is when you'll start to see adders and things in the wild landscapes. They often come out and sit in the sun to get warmed up. And often rocky areas like this is where you would find them. Here, that's another massive circle of stones there. It's weird how they're built like that in circles and not just, it's not just a pile. Check this out folks, the way these are 100% built like this for sure. It's not just a coincidence that the pile looks like this. It must be some ancient surrounding which has been put at the riverside for maybe animals or something to get a shelter, or maybe even an old shepherd's place originally. But the size of these stones, you would think it had been modern equipment that had moved them here. Because they're not just like standard building stones. Stones like this would be a ton or more. Maybe 2 ton. Wow folks, places like this, often when we find things on our adventures, it just raises the question of history as to what these things were. Just think how long they've stood here on the land. But it is like the natural stones which have come out of the river. I just can't understand how or why they've built it like a curve like that. There was a lot done in these glens though for livestock and sheep since the beginning of agriculture. So it could even be some sort of sheep enclosure. So check it out folks, we've actually headed a wee bit further down the river to see this pond kind of pool area, but there's actually a wee island there which is like quite cool to see, but unfortunately there's no way of getting across there. We saw those stones and thought there's maybe like a way of crossing the river there as well. Exploring new wee corners of Scotland here folks. We're about to head on back out of here now and see what else we can find. Has that tree got a hole in it as well?
Well, you can see the new tree growing inside it.
Oh aye. And beasties landing on me there. Yeah, look, there's another tree growing inside the old tree. Wow. That's incredible. It's amazing the wee things you see in nature when you're on these adventures. So sometimes this is the kind of landscapes that we explore just to bring the best content to the viewer. We're always looking for the little historical wonders that's not seen and hidden from everyday eyes. And sometimes when we go places, you're literally didn't find anything worth seeing, but the landscapes that you have to explore within it are just so worth the adventure. Mad countryside terrain, folks. Just check this out. What does this say? This is not Glen Clova. Continue for... Oh, people must have been stopping here thinking it was the Glen Clova Hotel. Wow, that sign was saying that the Clover Hotel's 2 more miles up here, which we knew, but they must have had locals going in, well, tourists going in there looking for the hotel. All these little lambs have now moved over into the more shaded area. As this day goes on, it just keeps getting warmer and warmer. It's just so humid out here, and that's how everything's growing so quick. Look at these. That must be like little pine cones or something at a young age. Wow. There's so many beasties playing about today as well.
See when the lad's on you, eh?
Oh, aye. So check this out, folks. I've come further up the glen here to the top of Glen Clova and then onwards past the Clover Hotel into the beautiful lands of Glendale. Because I thought it's cool to come to this secondary location here in this video. Before I do the ending, I want to share more of the beauty of Scotland on this episode, and what better place than this, which must be a massive old stone quarry. Probably some of the houses and farms around here were maybe built from the stone out of here. But this used to be an area, when we were young, like 16, 17, we used to come up here and play football, and that was the back wall. We used to kick the ball as hard as we could. For hours and hours we used to play football and that. But just check this area here. There's a wee picnic bench in the middle of this bog. And what a view over here. If I had a wee camper van, I would be parked up here for the weekends. Imagine looking out your window over this. The other side as well, I can see little streams and burns and waterfalls coming down off the hill. I think for the next adventure, we're way to head up some of these mountains maybe. We might have a bit of a cave hunting adventure coming up soon, folks. There's so many sheep and lambs as well in this landscape, it's just crazy. But yeah, it's just breathtaking. I always think it's worth just chucking the camera on for these short videos. Sometimes when we're looking for abandoned history, we end up coming into these mad territories, and it's so interesting to explore. And it's so interesting to see. And it looks like this bench here has been put here at an earlier time, and this bog has probably started to build up. Because it almost looks like this has been landscaped, and then they've blocked it off as well, that side. But you can still drive up this side of it. If you go around the corner here, you get the famous locations like Jocks Road, and then there's a few other places. What's the name of that other walk? Quarry takes you right up to the top of the hills and that at Clover, but it's quite touristy and quite busy, always. So we like coming to these like lesser known areas where the scenes are just as magnificent and incredible, but hardly seen, hardly documented. Today's video has been a bit here and there because we weren't even sure what we were going to see. We went on that mad walk over the bridge and stuff. We didn't find any history, but we were able to document some crazy landscape, folks, and that's sometimes all we can do on these adventures. We've been blessed with the glorious weather for this one. It's mad, the sheep often graze the land here, just right at the top of the cliff. The wee lambs and stuff are just used to the mad conditions though, because they're born into it. But sometimes it's savage when you see like a sheep or something standing on the edge of some of the cliffs. Crazy to see, folks. But then sheep and stuff must not be scared of heights at all. Wow, we'll go out onto this pinnacle of land here. I can see a lot of flies and midges here at this time of year. But that's just with the nature of the almost spring-like conditions. Whoa, I'm slipping on this rock. I need to get onto the level bit. Wow, what a place to do an outro though, folks. We're here in the middle of a quarry in Glendale. If you want to see where we're going next, tune into the next adventure. This has been a short one, something different. Goodbye from me, goodbye for the channel DJ. Catch us soon for the next one, wherever we end up going. But it's probably going to be a cave show, folks.